would be of 3 hours.
Yes.
Okay, so you're talking about where we can use this, right? The especially the for each
Yes.
or
Means
anything
what?
like this
Yes.
looping functions and all.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
generally
Means
what
one
happens?
example where we are looping on array and one example where we are looping on the object.
Okay, okay. See, array, it's not like whatever in UI5 application, most probably the data we will receive, it's in array of objects. Okay, it is in JSON format if you consider. So if you look at the JSON format, okay, you will see couple of properties. For each property will have array of object data. Okay, generally that's how the structure we will be having in the JSON format. Okay, so now once we receive this data in array of object, what we need to do, we need to loop one by one. Okay, so as it is an array, so your for each map, these functions will for sure it will work very fluently. There would be no problem at all. But the main purpose is, let's say I have some specific requirement. Okay, from backend I'm getting 100 records. I told you that from backend I'm getting 100 records, in which I want to sort only 10 records which are unique from the 100 records. So what you will do, you will use the for each method. Okay, you will use the for each method, and inside that you can just add one condition which will return the unique records from that 100 records. Okay, so for that we can use, now let's say you want to create your own object, own array of object from an existing array of object. So what you can do, you can create your empty object. After that, manually you can add your own properties and you can push that thing into an array, so that again a new data or new records will be created, a customized record. Okay, this is the basic requirement always we will get, because see, now in one record we have 100 properties. Let's consider in one record you have 100 properties. Okay, so from that 100 properties, so I need only one property. So what you will do, will you bind 100 properties to that list, or you will create one a customized array, a customized array of object which will have only a single property? What you will do, which is the best option?
Customized array only.
Yes,
Customized array.
because only one property, if you're creating a one property right into an object, and let's say 100 records are pushed, each record will have only single property. Okay, or single object in which we have a single property. So likewise we have 100 objects, each object will have a single property. So the performance of the single object would be far more better than the object which holds 100 properties, right? So that's one thing.
Yes.
Performance
Yes.
wise, we need to think about that. And apart from that, let's say you have a specific requirements, means mostly the requirement would be like same only the 100 records you have, you want only few records from that which would be unique. Okay, so it won't be possible, right? Directly you have taken and you binded that all 100 records to the table, but at the end you want to display only 5 records which are unique among 100 records. That is also one thing that we need to take care. So in all these cases we can use this for each map and all functions. Got it right?
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. Have you shared your screen?
No, I'm just explaining verbally.
Okay. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, for explaining this means once we start with the JSON object, right? I will show you that what we do generally. Okay,
Sure.
okay,
So
where we can use
means
this, not for each. Mhm.
from above perspective, we will be getting data in JSON format, and from the JSON format of data, we will be collecting those data into an array, and we
Right.
will loop an array.
Yes. See, for
Okay.
sure, data. What you see, if it is a single record, means for example, if I'm reading a record for a single employee, so you will get a single object. There won't be any array data. Okay. But now let's consider you're reading you're calling get entity set. Okay, get entity set will always return thousands of record, hundreds of record. Okay, so for sure that records we will receive in array format. So on that data you can loop. But now let's say you have a single object. Okay, you're reading a single record of an employee and you want to loop. So for that only foreign loop will work. You can't use map, filter, or this for each loop. Okay, only foreign loop will work in that case. You got it right?
Yes, yes. We'll see these examples now in our course.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. We'll see
Okay, okay.
this.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let me share my screen. One second. Uh, Okay, so let's from today onwards, let's start with our new topic SAP UI5, and after that in SAP UI5 basic introduction. Okay, let's go to the all the project files whatever we have in BAS. Okay, one by one, and after that once we have, we will design a simple registration page. Okay, using a simple form
Yeah,
or form control.
have you said? Have you shared here?
Sharing. Pinaki,
Uh,
don't worry, I'm sharing.
no, actually, I'm in hometown now. I'm always thinking my network is slow. That's
No. I'll tell you.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, sure.
Okay, so now my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Shiva, you're getting it right.
Hello, yes, I can see.
Yeah. So whatever questions you have, feel free to ask. Okay, don't hesitate. Okay, so SAP UI5. Now, what is SAP UI5? So, guys, before I start with this topic, okay, this new topic SAP UI5. So I hope that you guys have worked a lot on SAP applications till now, right? Lot of hundred of applications you guys have already worked for sure, because if you're in SAP world, so at least you guys would be having minimum 5 years or more than 5 years plus, right? Is it
Yes,
true?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
whatever apps you have seen or you guys have developed through SAP GUI, okay, how is the interface? Is it very user friendly? Means when at the beginner level, when you guys are learning, okay, the same SAP language, and apart from that you want to get through each and every option, so was it really helpful? Was it easy to understand without one second, I think someone is joining. Okay, so yeah, so few years back, before SAP UI5 and Fury was introduced, how was the applications? Okay, how they look like? How they look like in your SAP GUI? Anyone can tell me. Means how was the interface? Whether it was user friendly, whether any training is required for that, or it's very easy to handle. How was the performance? Okay, was it accessible on each and every device? Anything, whatever, based on your experience, you can tell me what are the limitation, what are the good part. Anything, Manish or Shiva?
Sc- Screen was a little bit confusing when we started that SAP.
Mm-hmm.
Mean,
Means for example, so all of you have worked already, all of you are already worked on SAP applications, right? We all have worked on SAP applications. Okay, so before UI5 and Fury was introduced, how the applications look like, how was the interface, whether any training is required in order to train the user or any business user to this is how the app will run. Okay, this is what the options you have if you want to do the operation. So that's all the question I'm asking. Means
yes, yes. Training was required for the clients.
training was required for the clients, right? Okay, so as a
Yes.
developer, okay, one thing is that the training is required. Okay, so that is first thing. Uh, second thing would be, so as a trainer, oh sorry, as a developer, so when you're developing these applications, okay, so after developing this application, was it user friendly? The user interface was very good, or it was pleasant, or it was looking good or not? User
Uh,
interface,
Not so much actually. I think so.
not so much, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that is second thing. So user interface was not good at all, right? So third thing is about the colors, about the complex layouts. Okay. About the look and feel. So how was it in old SAP apps?
It was same only. I
It was
think.
same only, right?
Yeah,
So
it
can
was
you
not.
add any animations to your SAP GUI applications?
So.
Animation, some styling effects, some shadows.
No, no, no. That time it was not available actually. I think so.
Not available, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so these are all limitations. Okay, so in old SAP applications, when SAP has introduced those apps, okay, so most probably what SAP was trying to do, they were just trying to provide each and every functionality, means they're dumping all the functionality in the single screen. Okay, but later after getting the feedback from n number of business users, what they get to know that each and every business user is expecting good user interface. Okay, they were expecting good user interface which will provide which will for sure which will provide a good user experience. First of all, most probably the applications, the SAP applications, that should be accessible on any device. There should be no limitation, there should be no dependency, right? So that is second thing. And the third thing is the training, right? The training cost has to be reduced, because if you consider the old apps, we don't know. I also sometimes get confused with the options what we have in SAP GUI. Means any transaction if you develop, so for sure it is a confusion for a new candidate. He can't even guess that after clicking on this option this will happen, right? But if you consider the Fury applications, for sure you can easily guess that if I'm clicking on this option, this is what it will happen next. But if you compare this old SAP GUI applications with the SAP Fury apps, it's lot of difference, right? There is a lot of difference between them, because both are different. Okay, both are different, but at the end both are performing the same thing. Okay, both are doing the same thing, but only the thing is that the look and feel. Okay, the way they are presenting the functionality. Okay, how they are operating. So each and everything is different if you consider, if you compare the UI5 apps with the old SAP apps. Okay, so that is the major thing what SAP has brought, and they have understood from the end business users, and they thought of, and after that they started the project Phoenix. Okay, so in early 2008 what they have done, they started with the project Phoenix, which consists of 4 to 5 or 5 to 6 team members. Okay, so only one thing in that group, what they have thought of, SAP told them to build something new, which will use the existing technologies like JavaScript is there, HTML5 is there, CSS3 is there. All these are major technologies nowadays for the web applications. Okay, and the so major thing is that, see, they want to remove the dependency of SAP GUI, because earlier once you develop the apps, SAP apps, for sure we need SAP GUI, right? Or some WebDyn Pro is also there, but for sure there is a lot of limitations for those apps. But if you consider the UI5 apps, okay, mostly this framework is built on JavaScript, HTML5 and the CSS3. Okay, so these frameworks each and every browser can support nowadays, right? Any browser, like if you consider the mobile also, if you consider tablet, or if you consider a desktop, or any operating system, every browser or any device, each and every device or system will support JavaScript, HTML5 and CSS3. It's now common and it's highly used in any web applications, right? So that's why SAP, what they have done, they have utilized the existing technology, and based on that they have built this SAP UI5 framework. Okay, so far it is clear, guys. Any questions?
Yeah, it is clear.
Clear.
Okay. Okay, so after building this SAP UI5, so now the major thing is the developers were facing one more big challenge. Okay, because see, now the framework is created. So if you consider a framework will always provide its built-in properties, methods and classes. Okay, you don't have to use anything apart, anything from the outer world or from third party. Everything of, if you're using a framework, that should provide each and everything. Okay, so now the thing is, when they introduced this SAP UI5, okay, after that there was no reference, there was no development toolkit which developers can refer, nothing like that. Okay, so developers were struggling, they were struggling that if I want to build an app using SAP UI5, I can't see any reference or any blocks which can help me to build an app. Because what developers will do means, if they are stuck in somewhere, right, in some place, so they will just Google, and after that they can see couple of options or some couple of solutions through which they will try, and they will try to implement, so that whatever the issues they are facing, that can be fixed. Okay, so that was not available at that time. So what they have done for this SAP UI5, they have introduced couple of tools. Okay, so like one of the major tool is, so for developing, no, for reference, one of the major tool is development toolkit. We have an SAP UI5 development toolkit, which is a reference library, or you can call it as the entire development toolkit, where you will find each and every information which is needed, which is required for building this business applications. Okay, so that is one tool which they have introduced. After that, for development, so now the developers, where they will do the development, first of all, right, that is also a major challenge. So earlier, before WebID was introduced, before WebID personal edition was introduced, we used to do the development on Eclipse. Okay, so first of all, we'll only start with the tools. Okay, so first tool is, okay, so this is our first tool. After that, Eclipse. Okay, so Eclipse is very old tool, right? It is one kind of a development environment, or IDE, if you consider integrated development environment. Okay, that generally provided by the Java. It's based on the Java only. So the Eclipse is one kind of a tool. So at earlier stage, when UI5 development was started, so it was started with the Eclipse tool. Okay, so developers normally they have to download some SAP UI5 libraries, or some yeah, the libraries they have to download, and they have to install it inside the Eclipse, so that now if they want to do the development, so that library will provide each and every options, so that they can use, and from that they can develop a application. Okay, so it was started with the Eclipse, but after that SAP has understood still the lot of challenges are there, means the challenges where developer can face while deployment of the apps. Okay, while providing a good interface for development, right? Because if you consider the Eclipse with the new tool, like nowadays we have very good tools, like we have Atom tool, we have Visual Studio Code. If you compare that tools with the Eclipse is somewhat outdated. If you consider the look and feel also, it is somewhat outdated. That won't provide that much of options what we have nowadays for any web development applications. Okay, so that is one thing. So what they have done, so SAP has understood the basic feedback. Okay, they have understood the drawback of using the Eclipse for the longer term. So that's why they have started building the WebID, their own development environment. Okay, where developer can create their own projects, and then that environment can provide each and every option within a button click. You don't need to, let's say if you want to deploy, you don't need to follow, you don't need to click for more than 10 or 15 times. Hardly within 2 or 3 clicks, your development should happen, or your deployment should happen. Okay, on your respective SAP systems through your WebID. So what they have done, they have started building their own tool, that is WebID. Okay, so at the earlier stage, so SAP Web ID Personal Edition was introduced, which used to run on local systems. Okay, it was not a cloud tool, it was a local system. Okay, so Web ID, SAP Web ID Personal Edition was introduced at the earlier stage in 2000, maybe in 2011 or 12, something like that, in that case. Okay, so once they introduce this Web ID Personal Edition, after that it was very easy for the development. Okay, I have my local Web ID, so which I can show you if you want now. Okay, so we have one Web ID Personal Edition where on which you just need to install. Okay, so SAP has already provided a zip file which you need to just extract to your folder on your respective local systems, and through which you just need to run the localhost server. So on through with the help of localhost server, like how the PHP will work, Tomcat will work on localhost server, same like that, your Web ID will be hosted on the localhost server in the browser. Okay, so that you can access your applications and you can build your applications, and that environment will provide each and every information. Like let's say you want to deploy on the cloud, or let's say you want to deploy it on your on-premise system. Okay, for building a app, everything is each and every option was available. But only the challenge was in Web ID Personal Edition is it is available only till 1.52 version. So if you consider, okay, let me go to the Chrome browser. Okay, so the first tool which SAP has introduced is SAP UI5 SDK, which is a documentation. If you consider, this is one page. Okay, so this is your development toolkit which SAP has introduced for SAP UI5 development. Okay, so if you consider, we have a various versions here. Okay, so now the latest version is 1.100.2. But if you go to the earlier stage, there are so many versions we have. Okay, so now what the thing is, when SAP Web ID Personal Edition was introduced, so it was limited till, means it is available till 1.52. But later after that 1.54, 1.56, okay, these features, the whatever the UI for the features which are available for this respective versions, okay, the features are not available to your Web ID Personal Edition. So after that, what SAP has started, they have introduced SAP Web ID for trial version on cloud, and also Web ID license version for the cloud. So earlier we used to have SAP Cloud Platform. Okay, so now it was just changed to SAP BTP, Business Technology Platform. Okay, but earlier it used to earlier we used to call it as a SAP Cloud Platform. Okay, so now on SAP Cloud Platform they have started providing these features. Okay, like the Web ID on trial version and also on the license version, so that developers can do. Okay, and any companies or any organization, they can properly they can configure their services all on the cloud, and all that services can be easily available for any end user at the end through the Web ID. So for example, let's say I want to integrate a couple of SAP systems. Okay, I want to integrate a SAP system, and I want to connect with the on-premise system. Okay, so at the end, when you connect that on-premise system to your SAP Cloud Platform through the Cloud Connector, after that you can easily access the features or the data from that on-premise system to your cloud platform. Okay, and then that same data will be passed through the destination through your SAP Web ID. Okay, that is how it is done. So platform means, cloud platform means it is like just a service. Okay, service as a provider which will provide the couple of service and which will be very handy. Like you will see all the apps at one place, which are all apps which are available on the cloud, which apps you want to see, which apps you don't want to see, each and every information this cloud platform will provide. Okay, so after Web ID trial version, Web ID cloud platform. So after SAP Web ID on cloud platform, so after that they have introduced SAP Web ID full stack. Okay. So SAP Web ID full stack, it is just a newer version of SAP Web ID. Okay. So the same version, only some look and feel wise everything is same. Only some features they have introduced, like let's say you want to build applications for mobile. Let's say you want to build a APK. Okay, if you want to build a APK, you want to build a if you want to build an app for iOS, each and everything it's possible through Web ID full stack. So small features they have introduced in Web ID full stack. Okay, and then this, the most important thing is, as this Web ID tool, it is available on the cloud. Okay, as this tool is available on the cloud, so the thing is, it's already get updated. Means now latest version of SAP UI5 is 1.100. So while when you're creating a UI5 project, a fresh project from the scratch, so for sure you will see the latest option 1.100. So that is one good thing if you're developing on the cloud, because this Web ID and Web ID full stack that are available on the cloud, it's not available on local environment. Means you cannot access it locally on your system. It's available on the cloud. Okay. So after Web ID full stack, so as now Web ID full stack is also it's outdated. Now they have introduced SAP Business Application Studio. Okay, so this is the latest tool which SAP has introduced for development. Okay, so what was the major thing which were lagging in SAP Web ID full stack is, now let's say as a ABAPer or as a CAPM developer. Okay, so what I need to do, I cannot do the entire development on Web ID. Okay, some part of development I need to carry forward, or I need to do on Web ID personal edition. Okay, some part of development I need to do on on-premise system. But now what SAP Business Application Studio has done, it has an integrated environment where you will find, means you guys can use the same tool if you want to develop a OData service, if you want to build a Fury apps, if you want to build a card related apps, each and every type of app you can develop in a single environment with the help of SAP Business Application Studio. So it's a single tool which is providing each and every information or each and every feature that any developer will need. Okay, guys, any questions?
No.
Avik, suppose we want to build an UI application for to display it on a browser and in an Android application, suppose. So the coding in both the parts will be same or different?
Yeah, see, so for means let's say your UI5 application is built with the help of UI5 framework, right? So whatever the tags, controls, whatever are available for the UI5, same you will use. Once your application is completed end to end, so what you will do at the end, you will just generate or you will just build a APK or Android file. Okay, so there is nothing different we do. Code wise, everything will remain the same. Only the feature is there which will take care of all these things. Okay, we have an API which will, what it will do, it will just build the Android app from this UI5 application. Okay,
Thanks.
no separate coding is required for Android or for iOS if you want to build a APK. Okay, no separate coding, only this UI5 application. So there is one feature, once you build, right, for example, once you done with your entire development, after that you just need to build an APK. So once you build, so that APK will be available on the cloud. So from that place you need to scan the code, you can download the Android file, or you can directly download, and after that you can install it on your mobile devices. Okay, on your Android or on your iPhone and all. Okay, but for sure there is no separate coding required. Okay.
So Avik, in this SAP BAS,
Mm-hmm.
so in the coming classes we'll be working on this BAS, right?
Right.
In this
Yes.
one, okay. So is that we have because I have worked on this web ID personal
Mm-hmm.
edition, this part. So in that it was available. But
Mm-hmm.
this thing we have to like it will also like through some browser or how we will access this part. Like I just want to understand.
Means how
Yeah.
we will access this tool, right? That's
Yes,
what
yes.
the question.
For coding purpose.
Okay. See, for coding perspective means yeah, it's easily accessible through browser only, on cloud only. Means you
Okay.
have to create your SAP BTP account. So guys, have you created your SAP BTP account?
No. Just show once how to create an all.
Okay.
What
So
is BTP? Yeah, I'm not aware.
anyone want to take this opportunity? Means you guys, you can just share your screen and we can create one simple account now here itself. Anyone? Means Manish or something you want, if your accounts are not created yet, so we can create it now.
Okay, sure. I'll share my screen if you want.
Okay, can you share once?
Yeah, just a minute.
Okay, others guys, you please see once. Okay, so that at least you will have an idea and you can create your own account. Okay, I thought you guys have created, but it's okay that but parallelly, let's say when Manish is creating, right, so you guys can also do parallelly so that your accounts will be created now itself.
Okay.
Because I'll provide you some time, means at least half an hour to practice in this session. So you, at least it would be easy for you to practice, right? Utilize this time properly. Okay, Manish. So what do you need to do? Uh, yeah, just search for SAP BTP login. Yes. Enter. Yes. Click on that first link.
Okay.
Okay. So now go down. Scroll down. Guys, please do it quickly. Okay. Parallelly. Guys, have you
Register.
opened this page? One second, Manish.
Avik, I will do it later. Actually, I don't have a laptop with me. I'm accessing
Okay,
from my
okay,
mobile.
fine.
I'll do it later. And
No issues, but at least go through this video before creating the
yes,
account. Okay,
yes.
yeah. Manish, now you can click on register.
Okay.
Okay, just enter your basic details, Manish.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, I think it has occupied my the yes, no.
It's your organization ID or how is it?
Actually, I think
Okay. Do one thing. Open in incognito mode.
okay.
Yeah, in incognito mode, you can just try or you can open any other browser where you haven't logged in yet. Incognito, you can try. It will work.
I'll do that.
Because don't use your office account,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a sensitive information and I don't want that it should be exposed
No,
here.
no. Yes. I will log out over there. Just help me also for that part.
Yeah, no issues. Yeah, yeah, just scroll down and click on register. It's loading. Yeah, now you can enter here. Okay, basic your personal email ID, first name, last name, company you can add. You can also add your company. It's not that you have to mention your mandatory. You can add anything. Okay, first
Okay.
or
Means I have to mention the current company.
anything. It's
Acha,
no
acha.
one will verify. You just have to create your own. Okay, you mention your mobile number. So mobile number is very important. Okay, because for sure you will receive some OTP and all. So keep it handy, and also your Gmail ID. Department also you can add relation to SAP consulting. Okay, relationship. Con yes. Okay, scroll down. Yeah, scroll down.
Submit.
Okay, submit.
Status.
Yes, only states.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Stairs, yeah. Okay, stairs.
fine, verify. Now log into your mail ID. Okay, if you want to stop the sharing, meanwhile it's okay. It's
Yeah,
if something, yeah.
yeah.
So you will receive one email, okay, for activation. Just click on that link. Okay, once you click on that link, then you can share again.
Okay.
Okay, at least this account creation will be completed in 10 minutes. After that, we can move slowly. So again, some UI5 basic introduction is still it is remaining. So far, we covered only tools. Okay, half an hour is sufficient to explain. After that, we can start with the UI5 development. Manish, you received the mail?
Yes, yes. Now I'm just entering the password. Create
Uh-huh.
password and confirm password. Just
Okay.
I'm submitting right now.
Hmm. Shiva, you are following it, right?
Yes, I am following. Actually, I have a existing account. Last time I have created.
Uh-huh. Then no worries then. If you already have an account, that's good then. You can use your existing account. Only cross-check whether you have subscribed for BS service or not on your cloud platform. On your
Yeah,
BTP account, just check whether
yeah.
BS tool is accessible or not. If not,
Yeah.
in this means now Manish is already creating, so we can see that once.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have
Okay.
clicked
So
on the
you have login,
activation.
right? Okay.
Uh,
Now go to the
actually,
new tab again.
that activation has happened through my that non-incognito window. Means it was not incognito. So no incognito, I have to log in right again, or can I access?
You have any other browser like Edge?
I have Edge also. Incognito, if I want to log in, it's showing me this register once for food access again. Or okay, here I got the option. Okay.
Yes, yes. You need to click on login. Yeah, you just add it, your login ID and all, and click on continue. Okay, enter your password. So again, you can add the same SAP BTP login so that it will take you to that page,
Mhm.
the BTP page cockpit. Okay, looks like it is login now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Just
so now do
can
one thing.
can you help me how to log out from here? This part.
No, I don't know whether because I can see still there are a couple of issues. Okay, in this.
No problem. Okay, so I've
Yeah.
logged
No,
successfully.
here also in incognito also you can open your BTP account. That's not a problem. Can you
Okay.
search for SAP BTP login here?
Okay, sure.
Just click on new tab and yeah, search here SAP BTP login. Okay, first, yeah.
No, I've logged in incognito. This this is a login which I've done in
It will
incognito.
log in then directly. It
Yeah,
will
yeah,
log
it's
in directly then in the new
yeah,
tab.
yeah. Okay. So, yeah, my account is there.
Yeah. Now go to your the tab, right hand side tab.
This one?
No, up. The home Europe. Can you see on the top tabs?
Only the on the tabs.
Chrome tabs. There are a couple of tabs, right? Just
Yeah.
now you
So
yes,
this
that one. Okay, now click on sign in. Now wait, it will take already. Yes, accept. Okay, now go to the trial home.
Yeah, the
Okay, now,
report.
yeah.
Just a minute. My phone is outside. I'm just going to.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
one.
Hmm. So, Josefa, you're facing some challenges while connecting?
Uh,
Josefa, are you there? Okay, fine. Okay, yeah, Manish, please enter your code and after that click on
yes, yes.
continue.
I'm just waiting for the code actually.
Okay,
Still
have you
not.
clicked on request new code?
Request me code. Okay. I have clicked now.
Hmm.
Yeah, received.
Okay, now click on the checkbox, accept. Okay, see now it will log in. It will take you to SAP BTP cockpit. Generally, the cockpit is only the place where we will do all the basic configurations like destination. Okay, so now here you can select the first option.
Okay.
There this feature is available for a couple of regions. So you can select US
Okay.
East. That's not a problem. Click
Okay.
on create account. Okay, so it will take at least couple of minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, but it will be created soon.
Okay. Let me try to log out from here. But this user ID has not.
Yeah, there would be option here. Yes, click on it. Yes, click on logout.
Okay. If I want to log in, I could put have to.
No, you don't need to access this URL. You can directly open SAP BTP login URL. So guys, make sure that see this would be your trial account. If you are not using this trial account or if you are not accessing this trial account for more than 1 month, so automatically whatever the things or the projects you will be created, right? Automatically those things will be deleted. Okay, so make sure that at least you practice it on daily or at least alternate days in week, at least twice or thrice.
So what is the validity of this trial account? Like till how many months?
After every 30 days, it will expire. You just need to open this your BTP
Okay.
cockpit and you need to extend. Nothing will be deleted. You just need to extend your service. That's it. Okay, but if you're not using it more than 1 month, then it will be deleted.
Great.
Okay, so now this is what the homepage we will have. Okay, for the trial account. If you see where we have a various options like SAP Business Application Studio is there, CLI, and APIs for SAP BTP. Okay, just go to the trial account. Yeah, so this is your trial account. Okay, so now if you scroll down, so this is your sub account. Just click on that sub account. That tile up, up, up,
This
up.
one.
Yes,
Yeah.
this one. It will take you to your sub account trial. So where you will have each and every option like destination configuration, your deployed HTML5 apps, your let's say you want to build your own portal, means Fury Launchpad, Cloud Fury Launchpad. Everything is available in your sub account trial cockpit. Okay. Okay. So now on left hand side, if you see guys, there are various options like services, Cloud Foundry. Earlier, we used to have this SAP Cloud Platform on Neo account. Okay. Based on Neo, but now it is Cloud Foundry. Okay, it got changed. So under the services, we have go to the instance and subscriptions. Yeah, if you see, I think looks like you have already subscribed. Okay, okay, it's already there. SAP Business Application Studio. Can you see that, right? Okay, so it's already there. So can you go on left hand side? Can you go to the, can you expand connectivity? Oh, sorry, the security or connectivity?
Okay. Security.
Connect, yeah, yes, security. Yeah, under the security, if you see, go to the trust configuration. So generally we need to add a rule that you are the admin for this these okay, after that you can click on new trust configuration. Okay, not here, just cancel, sorry, cancel it. Looks like, see, earlier how it used to be happen. So earlier we have this default identity provider, right? That would be in a link format, and after that you just need to edit it. Means you just have to click. So after that you can create your own roles. Okay, on left hand side if you go, there are a couple of roles, like roles is there, role collection is there. Can you check once?
Okay.
Left hand side roles.
Roles. Roles.
See, by default it's added now. No, roles collection, roles
Okay.
collection. Yeah. Wait, it will load. Okay, can you see this business application studio? Administrator is already added, developer is already added, extension deployer already added, cloud connector already added. So earlier we means when I created my trial account, means 1 year back. So I have to do each and everything manually. But now, as soon as you subscribe, as soon as you create your BTP trial account, by default, the BTP service will be accessed or it will be added to your account with all the basic rules, whichever is required for the development. Okay. So now we are good to go. We are good to go, Manish. So
Okay.
now you want to open, right? Business. So
Yes.
business application studio, just scroll down on left hand side and go to the instances and subscriptions. Okay, so wait. Yeah, on right hand side. Yeah, yes, just click on it, link.
Okay.
Okay, so it will open your tool in new tab. So it will take some time, but it will work. Okay, so yes, you can check and click on OK. Okay, so now this is what your homepage of Business Application Studio. Okay, so now as this is a freshly created BTP account, so there is no dev space created for your UI5 applications or for your BAS tool, right? So now whenever you create, now if you want to build UI5 applications, right? So all that UI5 applications will be stored in your respective dev space. Okay, so there is a concept of dev space in Business Application Studio. So now you need to, what you need to do, you need to create a dev space. So can you click on create dev space? So yeah, so now if you see, we have the various options like SAP Fury is one kind of a dev space which will provide built-in tools. Like on right hand side, if you see, for the Fury related tools or extensions are provided. Okay, for Fury dev space. But now let's say you're clicking on full stack cloud application, which will have everything like backend and front end, everything components. Like SAP HANA native applications you want to create, SAP mobile applications you want to create. So each and every options are available on the left hand side under that scroll bar, right? So whatever options you choose, that basic extensions will be available here. Okay, on right hand side. Okay, so now as we are going to work on SAP Fiori. So SAP Fiori is by default selected. Just provide a name on the top, dev space name, Manish.
What name
See,
do I need?
anything, whatever, like training UI5 or SAP UI5, anything you want to give. A name must start with a letter or number, may contain any. Okay, fine. Okay, Fury underscore training, that's fine. Okay, on right hand side, if you see, we have a various tools like cap tools is there, HANA calculation editor. These are
Yes.
extra options. Whatever you want to add, you can add from it. Okay, just scroll down. See, you can check for that HTML5. Yeah,
Okay.
this HTML application template. Scroll down. Scroll down. Development tool for SAP work zone. Yeah, that also you can add. And this business application studio extension development allows you to create, deploy, and manage your own. Yeah, that also you can create. Can you scroll down? Okay, fine. So now just create dev space. Click on
Okay.
below option. Okay, so now it will create your dev space, and if you see, it's starting your services. Okay, so guys, at a time only 2 dev space maximum you can create in your trial account. Okay, maximum two dev space, and at a time you can't run 2 dev space at the same time. Okay, only one can be run at the same time. Okay, so let's say you created one more dev space, so you can't run that dev space parallelly with this one, with the first one. So at a time only one dev space will run. So next dev space will be stopped. The services will be stopped. Okay, so now it is starting your services. Just hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it will take some couple of seconds. Okay, so if you see what is the disk usage they have provided you with the 3.9 GB, right?
So
Yeah, there
there,
is a,
so
yes,
it means to download.
16.1 MB is already used. 3.9 GB they will provide you for your application. Okay, so I think Manish, I'll take now the
Okay,
control
sure.
from
Okay,
this.
sure.
Yeah. Okay, 1 second. Let me share. Okay, can you see now my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so by default, whenever you log in, okay, so by default you will see stopped as a status. So what you need to do in this option, you will see one play icon. Okay, so that icon, the start icon, you will see, you have to click on that start icon, and after that you will see, after once you start, after that you will see this stop. Okay, so as it is already running, so running means your dev space is started. And after that you can directly on the left hand side, if you see whatever the name you have provided, right, to your dev space, so that name will be available here and it would be highlighted as a link. Okay, so this link you need to click this link. So once you click on this link, then only it will open your BAS tool. See, this is how it will load initially. Okay. Okay, so guys, let's take a 10 minutes break. Okay, after the 10 minutes, we'll start with the basic means we'll cover the UI5 introduction, MVC architecture and UI5 architecture, some versioning and maintenance. And after that, we will design one registration page. Okay, so let's take a 10 minutes break
Okay.
now. Guys, are you back? Hello.
Yes, Avi.
Yes, Avik, yes.
Okay. 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 So after the tools, right? So just now we only cover the tools, the basic account creation on SAP BTP. And after that, one more tool is left, which is optional if you want to use or not. So we have one more tool, SAP UI5 Inspector. Okay, so if you're using Chrome browser, right? So let's consider that if you're using Chrome browser, one second, yeah, go to this. Okay, where is the apps? Okay, so there is one SAP UI5 Inspector tool. Okay, so which you can use. Okay, so for Chrome there is a UI5 inspector tool which you can use, just a extension. Okay, because it will help you at the time of inspecting. Means if you want to debug the code, right? If you want to debug the code, it will help you for debugging the code properly on your Chrome browser. So it's optional. If you want to install, you can install. Otherwise, yeah, it based on you. But it's helpful for sure. I'll tell you. Okay, because this tool will help you to identify the basic data binding. Okay, it will also help you that what properties are enabled for the particular control. Okay, what are the default settings? Each and everything you can check with the help of this UI5 inspector. Okay, so for me, it's already I have added this UI5 inspector, so you can add it. Okay, it's mostly used for debugging purpose. If you want to debug your UI5 applications in the network, right? A network or some tools or some controls. So for that, you can use this UI5 inspector. Okay, so fine. Uh, okay, so after that, let's start with the SAP. Okay, what is SAP? So what is SAP, guys? Sorry, what is SAP UI5? So SAP UI5, it is a framework, okay, which is nothing but it is a collection of libraries which you can use for building desktop applications, which you can use for building a business web applications. Okay, so the applications that we will be building, okay, going forward with the help of this UI5 framework, that are all business applications. Okay, and that mostly that will run on browsers or that can run on any device. Okay, so means I told you, right, there is a feature or there is a functionality, means or there is a API which will help us to create a Android file from your UI5 application. Okay, so whatever apps you will create, so generally we will create a single page applications from UI5, and those applications are hybrid. Hybrid in the means hybrid in the sense that a same app it can use a same, okay, same code you can run on Android, a same code you can run on iOS, and same code you can run on browser. Okay, a same piece of code it will run on any. One second. Okay, sorry guys for the disturbance. Yeah, okay, one second. Yeah, so what is a UI5? So SAP UI5 is a framework for building business-based web applications, and the apps which we build from SAP UI5, those are single-page applications. Those are single page applications which are hybrid. Hybrid means a same piece of code will work on Android, will work on iOS, and also on other browsers. Okay, so you don't have to you don't need to worry at all at anything. So you just need to write your UI5 code, and with the help of API that code will be converted, or that same piece of code will work on any type of device. Okay, so what is SAP UI5? SAP UI5 is a framework. SAP UI5 is a framework. Okay, it is a business-based web applications. After that, the apps SAP UI5 are single page which are hybrid. Okay, hybrid means you got it right, guys. Hybrid. Guys, are you there?
Hybrid means
Hybrid means, see, you just need to write a single piece of code. Now, if I want to run this app on Android, okay, which is a different operating system. So generally, what you need to do, as if you consider other languages, you need to you need to write a separate code for it. Okay, for building a Android app. But now if you consider UI5, right? If you're considering UI5 application, you don't need to write a separate code to run this app on Android. A same piece of code will work on Android and iOS as well. Okay. Guys, any questions in this?
Single page applications
No.
means it is
Okay.
only
Single page applications means, see, if you look at some couple of web pages, right, you will have multiple pages. Means, let's say you want to click on any option. So what it will do, it will reload the entire page and it will bring new page on the browser, which is right only, right, guys? If you consider any website on the web page, for example, if I'm searching for okay, let's say I'm considering this web page. So I can see now this is the web page. This is a page. Let's say I'm trying to open JavaScript. Can you see now? It changes, right? Let's say I'm going to click on this login. Just see, it's loading the entire page. Can you see now? Guys, are you following it?
yes, yes, Abhi.
Yeah. So when you click on the login, it has reloaded the entire page and it brought the new page, right? But if you consider the UI5 application, so apps are built on a single page. Means whenever you run your app, okay, you will see a single page. Only part of the content will be updated according to your requirement. For example, let's say I have two options, two buttons, first page and the second page. Okay, so when I'm clicking on the first page, you will see the first page, but it won't reload your entire page. Only part of the content will be replaced. Okay, it will not reload your entire page because everything is handled in a single page. Only the content will be rendered based on your requirement. Okay, that we will see more in detail at the time of routing and navigation concept. Okay, we have a routing and navigation concept. In that, I'll tell you how it works. Single page, why we are building a single page apps and how it works. Fine. Is it fine? As of now, single page application means only the single page would be there. Only the part of the content will be changed or will be updated. Not the entire page will be reloaded. Only the part of content will be reloaded, will be updated. Okay. Fine, guys.
yes.
Okay, so now let's go to this. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the architecture of SAP UI5, and after that, let's see what is MVC. Okay, so once we're done with this, then last. Okay, before we go to the architecture, let me go to the version and the maintenance. Okay, so versioning and the maintenance. Okay, let me go to the development toolkit. So guys, if you see, if you look at this development toolkit of SAP UI5, so on the top right hand side corner, you will see one version. Okay, version 1.100.2. Can you see this 1.100.2? Okay, so what is the one? So one is nothing but it is your release number. Okay, one is nothing but it is your release number, or you can also call it as major version. Okay, after that we have 100. So what is this 100? 100 means it specifies version number. Okay, 100 means it specifies version number 100, or you can also call it as minor version. Okay, after that at the end we have 2. So 2 means nothing but it is a patch number. Okay, so what SAP does, SAP uses 3-digit identifier for version maintenance. Okay, it uses 3-digit version identifier. You got it right. One is nothing but it is your release number, 100 means nothing but it is your version number, and 2 is nothing but it is your patch number. Okay, so this one at the time when they have developed, so this one is consistent. Only they are updating this version numbers. Okay, and they are also updating the patch number. So what this version number will bring and what this patch number will bring. Okay, so this version number every month this SAP will introduce new and new version numbers, and new version numbers means every time SAP introduce new version, so for sure it will add more features to the existing controls, or they might can also introduce new controls in their SAP UI5 framework, right? With the help of version number. But when they are changing the patch number, so patch number generally, if some issues, if they are facing some issues in some controls, okay, after releasing the new version, so that controls were fixed with the help of patch numbers. Okay, so they will release the patch update for that version, and after that, whatever the issues they were facing that will be fixed. Okay, so with the help of patch. Okay, so you got it right, guys. Any questions in this?
So Avik, whenever like SAP uh, introduce any new version or anything, so will be updated automatically over here, right?
Yes. So automatically, yeah, always your development toolkit, this reference you can see, right? This reference website, whatever you can see, this website automatically it will show the latest version number on the top, and it will also take the latest features. Means, for example, whatever the API reference you will see on the on this tab. So okay, we'll go through this once in detail. Okay. So for example, we have a button control. So this button control or this web page. So now this web page is loading all the features of button based on version number 1.100. Okay, so this web page will always load in what 1.100. But now let's say you're building a app, okay, because your client is using the SAP system in which UI component which is installed, it is of version 1.52. Let's consider you want to build a UI5 application based on 1.52. Okay, so now the latest version is 1.100. So what you need to do, you need to click on this change version and you can search for 1.52. Okay, this is what the version we have. Just click on it and click on apply. As soon as you click on apply, now this website it will load based on version 1.52. Okay, and from that, if you go to the API reference, you will see all the controls which are available from 1.52. Only those controls will be available here. Okay, the controls which are introduced after the controls which are newly introduced and which are available after 1.52, that won't be available in this list. Okay, so depending on your need, if you want to build a UI5 application which is of version 1.52, Then you need to just change the version, and this is what the updated reference you will see for your UI5 development.
With
Okay, and just take a reference from this.
one query.
Mm-hmm.
If we are going with the latest version, obviously this thing would be present over there also. Why we need to go down and search for this?
Why we need to go down and
Means
go free and search?
1.100 we what we saw,
See, the
right?
problem is, the problem is, see, depending on your need, you have just copied the properties. Couple of properties which will be extra. I'll tell you. So on Bass, always you will be building the app of on latest version. Okay. So whatever app you will build, that app will be on latest version, that is 1.100. You okay? It will work on 1.100. But now your client system using 1.52 UI5 version. So now what happens at the time of project building? So when you develop your app, okay, you're using a couple of properties or features from 1.100. Let's consider, okay, without even you didn't check the version number and directly you're using what all the features are available, you're directly using. But in that couple of properties which are available after 1.52. So at the time of deployment, when you want to deploy this app on your on-premise system, that is on your SAP Fiori Launchpad of on-premise system, so that won't deploy because that features will won't support. And again, what you need to do as a developer, again, you need to change and you need to remove all those controls. And for that, you need to write the explicit logic for it to achieve the same functionality. So will that work? Will that be good, or changing version number here will be good? What would be good in this case?
Then I think we should go for that version only which client is using. Otherwise,
Yes.
some feature of 1.100, obviously it won't be supported and it can create some error or something like that.
Yeah, it will create errors and it won't work properly on your Fury Launchpad. It won't deploy. So that one thing we need to take care. That's why this is one good thing that we should do always. Before
Uh,
we build a project from the scratch, we have to change the version number here. And after
one
that, you take a reference. Yes.
how we can identify which version currently client is working on.
Okay, so that depends. Means, for example, see, if you're working for a good client, anything, so always they will have their own development guide. Okay, in which they will provide you the basic details like this is what the UI5 version you need to create, you want to build. Okay, after that, they will provide a basic like naming convention. What should be the project name? So each and everything your functional will provide you basically. But on top of that, okay, if you still want to know what is a UI5 version, so that thing we can check in when we have our UI5 Fury session. Okay, when we
Okay.
deploy this app on the Fury Launchpad, at that time, I will show you how we can check what is the version of UI5 which we are using.
There is one more in SAP GUI. There is a
Mhm.
in the menu button we have one status. In that also we see
Yes,
all
in
the
that
latest.
also you can see the UI component. You can see that what is the UI component they have installed.
Okay.
Okay, because this UI component only will bring this UI5 version.
Okay. Okay.
Depending on that UI component only, we can identify what is the UFI version we can see. Okay, that is also one thing through which we can check. Okay, fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So after that, so how the maintenance is done. Okay. So guys, if you see, we have lot of versions, right? If you see, we have lot of version till 1.100. So do you think that all the customers are using all the versions? No, right? That won't be possible because if you consider every customer, at least he will migrate 3 or 5 years in 5 years once. It won't be possible that every year they will migrate to the new system, right? Because migrating, let's say you want to migrate to the latest SAP HANA version 2020 or something, or 2021. If you want to migrate to that latest version, so will that be easy? No, right? Because whatever the apps they were developed on the earlier version, so for sure that versions will create some issues at the time of migration because some features will work, some features might not work. So it's not very easy that within 2 or 3 days your migration will be done. A migration will take at least couple of months, because end to end, if you want to check after migrating, you have to make sure that once the migration is done, each and everything is working fine. If it is not working, again, developers need to provide a support. Then only the apps will work properly on their respective systems. Okay, so what, as we can see, we have so many versions, hundred of versions we have in SAP UI5. So that's not a case that each and every client will use every version. What they will do, maybe in 5 year, once in 5 year, what they will do, they will migrate to the version, latest version, whatever on top of that. For example, my client is using 1.48, 1.48 or 1.38. Let's consider my client is using 1.38. Okay, so now as of now the current version is 1.100. Okay, so depending on 1.100, so let's say you want to migrate to the 1.60 or 1.71. He does not want to migrate to 1.100, because what SAP is doing, when they provide, when they introduce any new version numbers, okay, so for that they will also provide the maintenance support. Because whenever you're building some apps, right, if the long term maintenance is not provided for that version number, so what will happen? So that will be outdated in couple of months, and after that, let's say if your client is using, and then some technical issues might occur. Okay, some issues are coming which you're unable to fix, but you can go to the SAP. But SAP has already mentioned that you should always go with the version number which has a long term maintenance support. Okay, which has a long term maintenance support. For that only you should prefer. So there are a couple of versions for which long term maintenance support is already provided. For example, 1.38, 1.52, 1.60 and 1.71. So these are all various version numbers for which long term maintenance support is already provided by the SAP. Okay, so I'll tell you. So just go to the documentation, search for version. Okay, so let's go to this URL. I'll show you. Okay, so this is one good document that you can refer if you want to go through the maintenance for which long-term maintenance supported. If you see, there are various version numbers for which long-term maintenance is provided. Can you see now? It has each and every list. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So now if you consider, let's say you want to build an app like 1.70. Okay, can you see it is already out of maintenance, for which maintenance is not supported now. Means SAP will not provide any support for this apps or for this version number. Okay, now if you want to go, so which maintenance version you will check? See, for example, I'll just scroll on the top. Yeah. So if you see 1.38, so for 1.38 version, it is older version, and most probably, so there are so many customers, they are still using 1.38. Okay, 1.38 is UI5 version for which long-term maintenance is already provided. How much long-term maintenance? Till Q4 2027. Till 2027, long-term maintenance support is provided for this version number. After that, we have option of 1.71. So for 1.71 version, long-term maintenance support is provided till 2027. For 1.84 till 2023, and for 1.96 till 2024. So why I'm telling this? Because as a developer, we have to make sure that whatever apps you will develop, right, it should have long-term maintenance support. But for sure, your client will install or they will migrate to that system which has long-term maintenance support. Otherwise, they will just upgrade their UI component. Okay, so for example, if you look, 1 second. Yeah. So if you see, let's say your client has 1.71. So this is what the UI component we have to install. Okay, this is a UI component version of your yeah, this is a UI component which need to be installed on your on-premise SAP system. Then only this version will bring 1.71 UI5 version. Okay, so now let's say client want to migrate. So the client the one 7.55 version, it needs to be installed. But for sure you need to check your SAP system also, that whether it's a S4 HANA 2020 or something like that. You got it right, guys, what I'm trying to tell? Guys, any questions in this? Hello?
No,
Yeah,
Abhi.
At least it is clear what I'm trying to tell here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, if you're not understanding, let me know. Okay, you can disturb me in between and you can ask me the question. That's not a problem. But just remember that as a developer, if you're going to build a UI5 application, we have to go through, uh, we have to consider the version number which has a long-term maintenance support. Okay, at least 4 or 5 years. Otherwise, unnecessarily, you are the only people, because let's say if you're working for a organization for more than 5 or 6 years, and then for that specific client only, so for sure you are the only person uh, who will provide the support for this app, because SAP will not support these apps, because they have already mentioned, they have already provided this reference, right, this document for this purpose only. Okay, so we have to consider each and everything before we build a UI5 app. Okay, so every month they will release new version number, and in the year maybe once or twice they will release the UI5 version, the long-term maintenance support for that ABAP system. Okay, because if your client is using SAP on-premise, right, like S4 HANA 2020 or 2021, so for that at least in a once in the year they will release the version number, the version which has long-term maintenance support. Okay, it's not like that for in BAS, if you consider, for UI5 if you consider, every month they will release. But as a ABAP perspective, for ABAP, because these things, this UI components won't be easily available, right, every month they can't build this UI component easily. So it is builded once in a year or twice in a year. Okay, means every 6 months if you consider for your ABAP on-premise system. Okay, so this is what we have under this UI5 versions and maintenance support. Okay, fine. Guys, any questions in this?
No, wait.
Okay, okay. So now let's go to the MVC. So guys, I think before we go to the MVC, so can we directly start the login page, the designing of registration page? I think theory is, it's okay, right?
yes,
Should I,
yeah.
should I go through the theory, or we should see some practical example?
We can say practical examples.
Okay. Okay, let's go to the practical example. Okay, so now, yeah. So guys, let me know if you guys are facing any issues at the time of your account creation on SAP BTP. Okay, if it is already created, then no issues at all. But if it not, just let me know now so that I can help you now itself. Okay, so now if you consider, so this is our latest business application studio tool, which SAP has recently introduced. Okay, it's a newly introduced tool which SAP has introduced, and if you look at the look and feel, it's taking a lot of features from Visual Studio Code. So there is one Microsoft Visual Studio Code which this tool, this BAS tool, it's taking, or it's similar to same like Visual Studio Code. Okay, it's almost similar to the Visual Studio Code, Only on top of that, they have added their own features, because at the end we are working on UI5 applications, right? On SAP applications. So for sure, lot of features, the features that they will provide mostly for the SAP apps. Okay. So now before I build, so this is what your home page will look like. Okay, this is would be your home page. So under the home page, you will see one welcome page will be opened automatically. As soon as you reload, see, I'm reloading this app, automatically your welcome page will be opened. Okay, you don't need to do anything. So automatically it will be open. By default, it will be open every time you reload or you open your BAS tool. Okay. So once it is loading, it will show some that it will load some files below. Also, you need to see that this is one kind of a status bar. Okay. So if it is in blue color, right below, you can see one status bar in blue color. Okay, this is your status bar. If it is highlighted in orange, it means your BAS went to the offline. Means for sure you're facing some network issues. If it is highlighted in blue, it means your BAS is online. Okay. So now under this welcome page, so there are a couple of options, like you can create a project from the scratch. You can clone the project from the Git. Let's say your project is already available on the Git repository. You can clone it from the Git through this option. Let's say you want to import it from the dev space, that is also possible. And let's say you want to import it from your local project or from your local system, that is also possible here. Okay, so there are these four options. So after, if you scroll down, there are a couple of reference or some basic documentation. If you want to go, you can go through it. Some basic documentation. Okay, fine. After that, you will also see your recent projects. Okay, so this the project means this is your latest project folder under which all the projects will appear. Okay, so on the left hand side, we have the various options like project. So project is your workspace name. Okay, and under the projects you will have the various projects till now whatever you have created. Okay, so you will see all of your projects under this. But let's say you're not able to see, you can directly go to the file and then you can click on open workspace, or you can click on open anything. If you're clicking on open workspace, so this is how the workspace will appear. Like as of now, it's only the projects. Keep it as default, don't make any change. Click on the project and click on open. Okay, as soon as you open, again it will reload. So it will make sure that under that workspace, whatever the projects are falling, that will appear on the left hand side. Fine. Okay, so it will load. So yeah, one thing is there, guys, it's pretty much little bit slow. You need a good connection speed. Okay, your network connection should be good if you're using BAS tool. That one thing I can tell you for sure. Okay, so now as a fresher, so yes.
Avik, if I have a current project on Web IDE, would you recommend that I start working on BAS or should I continue to work on Web IDE?
You can continue on Web ID. That's not a problem. See, develop coding wise, everything is same. Only
Because
the running
I'm
of.
asking because in Web IDE I'm not getting the auto suggestion for keywords and all. If I
No. Why that is happening? Web ID should Web ID for sure it will provide you the suggestions, because I also worked on Web ID and it's providing the auto suggestions.
yeah.
Which version you're using? It's Web ID full stack on cloud.
No, I'm personal.
Personal edition.
Yes.
Personal edition will also provide you some feature. Okay. Okay. Wait. I have. Okay, 1 second. Let me run this. Okay, I have Web ID personal edition with me now. Okay, let it reload. So guys, this is Web ID personal edition. Okay, but for this you just need to include that project or that setup folder. Okay, so see, this is my projects. So I have created so many projects here. Let's consider. Okay, let's consider I need a suggestions. Okay, so for example, this is your input field. You need some suggestions, right? Just
Right.
just press Control space. Can you see now?
Right.
Okay, just
But
make
but
sure that it's not
uh,
near to any tab,
but
otherwise it
if
won't
the
work.
word live changes is written ahead, if you create a control space, will
Hmm.
you get live changes? Means, as a
No, no,
suggestion.
no. It should not do like that. Means, for example, if I'm typing like this, right? This is what you're
Yeah.
asking? No, no,
No,
no. This is
inside the input tag, there's a property called live changes.
right.
Yeah. So if I do control space, will I get that live change is equal to?
Yes. Event, right?
Yeah.
Change is there. Model context, pass, validate. Okay. I don't see any live change event here.
Exactly. Means most of the words that are used, they are not.
That are not possible. Yeah, because it was developed very earlier, right? But it's okay, right? But still you have your API reference on top
Right.
of,
Right.
okay. Because yeah, somewhat it's helping you just for normal development. It's helping you actually. The basic things, whatever it required, but which the
To that.
some couple of properties, if they are not available, you can go through the API reference.
Right. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So it means as of now, I should continue using this web IDE.
Web ID also you can continue somewhat if you want to practice on Bass. That is also okay. That won't be a
Uh,
problem. But why I'm recommending Bass, because going forward, if you are going to switch your job, right? For sure they will ask you whether you have any working experience on Bass.
right.
So at least that will that can be added as a advantage.
Right. But as of
One
now,
second.
the main priority of mine is that what is going to make it easier to develop this, because as a newcomer in UI5, I am not aware of all the keywords and all the values and properties of every tag or every control. If the editor would have helped me, then that would have been way better. But WebID is not helping that much. It's okay,
Mm-hmm.
it is showing errors, but it is not helping that much. So if in case Bass is better at that, it's better at giving suggestions, then I'd rather start making my project in Bass, because
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know. I think you know better what
Guys,
is.
can you give me 2 minutes? Only 2 minutes. Just hold on, for 2 minutes. Yeah, guys. Sorry for that. Yeah. Okay. So someone is asking the question. What was that?
It was like, is it easier to write code in Bash, or is it easier to write code in WebID as of now?
It depends. For example, if you are familiar with the web id from past 2 or 3 years, so you will feel more comfortable on web id rather than bash, because
Okay.
somewhat in bash there is a somewhat different, but code wise and whatever code you write, everything is same, but somewhat look and feel, the functionality, the feasibility, right, everything is more if you consider me, okay, I will prefer web id at least so far, because
Okay, so I'll
bash somewhat
continue
what
in Web
happens.
ID because
Mhm.
I've already started developing in Web ID. So let me continue. I'll continue in that.
You can continue, but parallelly, if you're familiar with the bash tool, right, going forward, that won't
Yes,
create
yes.
any issue. Otherwise, let's say you want to
Actually,
deploy the app.
actually, I
Mhm.
think just for these 1 or 2 weeks when this delivery is going on, I'll do it Web ID. Then I'll come on board with Bash because as you go on ahead with this course, then I will start working on Bash later on. But
Mhm.
now, because since I am in an urgent situation, I'll right.
Mhm. Yeah, you can continue on web id only, that's not a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now guys, after looking at this, so okay, so we have a welcome page, right? So unfortunately, let's say you have closed the welcome page. Now how you can get it back? So there is a view, go to the view, and there is a find command option, view and find command. Okay, here you can directly search for welcome. So you can see the second option, welcome. Again, this will open your welcome page. Okay, so this will open your welcome page as it is with the basic options. Okay, I think it's still loading. Yeah. Okay, fine. So now for creation of the project, there are a couple of ways. Okay, so this left hand side we will not go in detail because not required as of now. Most probably the development and the project folders, each and everything you will see in the first option of this file explorer. Okay, second one is for the search, third one is for the git. Okay, fourth one is for the debug if you want to do the debug, fifth one is for the extension. So it will vary. Okay, whatever you want to do, it depends on you. But as a UI5 developer, the only two options you will use the most, like this one explorer, 99% you will use explorer, and git somewhat. If your project is already integrated with the git, then you can use this third option. Okay, otherwise this is fine. Okay, so now guys, if you see, I have already created some projects, two projects I have created, so you can just ignore. So now let's say you want to create a new project in this bash tool. Okay, so as a beginner, how I can create a new project? So I told you, for creation of the project there are two ways. Either you can create it from the welcome page. So from the welcome, if you see, we have the first option, right? 1 second, you open that again. Okay, so in the welcome page, if you see, we have this first option, start from the template. Okay, you can choose this option. Otherwise, on the file, okay, there is one file option, there is one option, new project from template. Okay, so the two options through which anyone you can choose, and from that you can create your new project. Okay, so now I'm just clicking on this new project from template, or this one, anything you can click. So as soon as you click, it will load project from templates. Okay, so there are predefined templates which are newly introduced in this bash tool. So like for example, you want to extend your standard app. So for that we can choose adaptation project. After that, let's say you want to create your capm project. So nowadays this capm is also newly introduced technology. Especially we are using this for building odata services through the capm, and which will be completely on the cloud. Okay, so for that you can create your cap project. Otherwise you can create your fury application. Okay, and apart from that fury, so we have other templates also, hana database. So this I will not go in detail because this is not required for us. Okay, so I'll click on this SAP fury application template. After that I'll click on start. So this SAP fury application means it will provide a basic templates which are highly used for building a fury applications. For that, that's why I'm choosing this SAP Fury applications, and I'll click on start button. So once you click on the start button, so then we have a floor plan selection. So in this floor plan selection, what type of template or the floor plan you need for your project? Okay, whether it's a SAP Fiori Elements or SAP UI5 Freestyle. So whenever you're considering SAP Fiori Elements, okay, for that you need a service which supports CDS. Okay, you need a service which has a CDS capabilities. Then only whatever the apps you can see, right, like list report object, work list, analytical list report, overview page, form entry object page. So this all apps, it will be handled through the CDS service, through the Fiori elements. But no, as a beginner, we should not focus on this. I'm just focusing on SAP UI5 Freestyle. So this is what the application type I'm choosing, because this is where the place you can create entirely from the scratch. Okay. So when you consider SAP Fiori freestyle means at the end you can customize your project according to your need. Okay. But on top of that, still we have the 3 templates under the Fiori freestyle, like SAP Fiori worklist application template, SAP Fiori list detail application template, and at the end we have SAP UI5 application template. Okay, so starting 2 templates, for sure it will need the OData service, but now we don't have any OData service, right? So first 2 we can ignore, and at the last, if you see, we have SAP UI5 application template, which is a blank one. Okay, this is what the template we need it. So this is what the template or the floor plan that we will select, in which you can build your app entirely from the scratch. Okay, so I'm selecting SAP UI5 application template, and after that I'm clicking on the next. Okay, so once you click on the next, then we have the option for data source. Okay, so you can just click on the drop down. So now, as of now, I don't have any data source, so I'm just clicking on none. Okay, otherwise, if you have any data source, so you can just connect to the system, you can get that OData service. But as of now, I don't have any data source, so I'm just selecting none. So this we will see at the time of OData creation. Okay, once OData is created, after that we will see how we can integrate OData into this app. Okay, so now I'm just clicking on none. Okay, so once you click on none, just click on next option. Okay, after that we have your view name. Okay, so what is this view name? So view name means everything, means as SAP UI5 supports MVC architectural pattern. Okay, MVC means model view controller. Okay, so if you want to design a UI5 application web page or your app, so whatever the controls you will use, that controls need to be added or included inside the view. Okay, so view is the only place where you will add your UI representation. Mostly you will add your designing codes. Okay, so by default, whenever you're creating a new project, a fresh project in this tool, so by default, one view is created. Okay, one view will be created as a default view for your web page, sorry, for your UI5 application. Okay, so for that view, so what type of view it is? It is of type XML. Okay, so we have a view of type XML because SAP is recommending only XML view type. Why? Because in XML you cannot add JavaScript code, but when it comes to the HTML, you can also add your JavaScript code in the same HTML page with the help of script tag that is available. But when you compare XML page with the HTML, so XML will help us to strictly follow MVC architectural design pattern. So that's why what SAP says, SAP recommends to use XML view type. Okay, so by default now in WebID, if you see in WebID, we have a option to choose from the drop down that what type of view you want to create, whether you want to create XML, whether you want to create HTML, JSON. So some couple of options are available. But in BAS, what they have done, they have followed the best. Means now they have not provided any view type as HTML and all. By default, the view will be created as a XML because that's what the standard we need to follow. Okay, so now I'm providing a basic name as a registration page, because I'm going to design a registration, right? So I'm just giving a name to the view as a registration page. Okay, and after that I'm clicking on the next. Okay, so once you click on the next, then we have a basic project settings or basic project attributes or identifier that you need to provide for your project. So like what should be the name of the project? Okay, so which will come under the module name. So what should be the app title, the name, the title of your app, then namespace, then after that description, then the folder project path. So okay guys, make sure that once you create the project, don't change any path here. Okay, keep it as it is by default. Okay, and then we have minimum SAP UI5 version. So what should be the minimum UI5 version on which this UI5 app will work? So by default it is showing the latest version. So let's say I want this app to run on 1.38 or 1.50. I can add it as minimum UI5 version should be 1.50. Okay, so like that you can add it. Okay, I'm just adding 1.70, 1.47. After that, we have a couple of options like add deployment configuration, add FLP configuration, configure advanced options. So this deployment option means if you want to deploy this on SAP BTP, that is Business Technology Platform, that is on cloud, you can choose this add deployment configuration. So let's say I want to deploy this app on on-premise Fury Launchpad, that is on ABAP repository. So in that case, I can choose this add FLP configuration. Okay, but as of now, I'm not going to deploy this app, so I'm just keeping it no only. Okay, so we will explore this each and every option at the time of when we are deploying this app. Okay, so now I'm just clicking on finish. So once you click on the
Javed,
finish, yes.
is it okay if rather than making a project, we can just make a folder and we can create files in the folder and that will work like a project, right?
No, no, no. That should see that how when we are doing, we used to do in Eclipse. Okay,
Okay.
that's also 6 or 7 years long back, not now.
It doesn't work.
Because see this project structure, if you okay, for example, if you see we created this project one, right? Okay, I'm just clicking on that project one, so I'll show you what I mean to say. Where is the font? Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, so now see, if I when I expanded this project folder, if you see automatically a couple of files are created and at the same time couple of the folders are created. Why that are created? Because the configuration is already done. Okay, so because the path, the basic configuration for each and every file, it's already maintained and it's already been created at the time of project generation. So we should not make any change going forward. If you are making that change, so it will impact if you are deploying this app on the cloud. Okay, let's say in future if you want to build a APK from this app, so that will also impact. So what SAP says, we should not touch these folders. First of all, we should not make any changes in the structure. So that's why by default, when you're creating this project, right, at that time only this folder structure will be created as it is, and each and every configuration is already maintained. You don't have to do anything, like it's like a API which will do everything for us.
Okay.
Okay, don't make any changes in this, don't create manually. Then what is the use or then what is the purpose of this tool then, right? It's not useful then.
Right.
So make sure that
Can we download this project in a zip?
Yes, you can download that. Okay, means before you download, make sure that you need to delete this node modules first of all, because
Okay.
this node modules again, these are some basic libraries which will get added, which were not adding earlier when you create a project on WebID full stack, but now in
Okay.
BAS it's getting added. Because see,
Okay.
in this project, uh, in business applications tool, we can use npm commands, we can use node.js commands, right? So that feature is getting added with the help of that basic libraries to your respective project. Okay,
Okay.
so
So
we
you
don't
need to
need
delete
any.
that node
So
modules folder before download.
yeah, you
If
need to
you
delete this
want
node module
to
folder before download. Automatically after that, again if you want, again this node modules folder will be created. Okay, you don't need to worry on this node modules,
okay.
because otherwise if you're exporting, your project size would be around 200 MB.
Oh,
That would be more. Okay,
right,
see,
right, right.
I'm just clicking on the download, I'll tell you how much it is. Okay, it will take at least couple of seconds, so it will take a lot of time to prepare also. So it's better that
Right.
if we can directly delete node modules and you can download. But after that also still the size of the project would be big only if you compare that with see how much it
Web
is now,
ID, it would be very
80.9
small.
MB.
Yeah.
It is 80.9 as of now. But if you are deleting now, one second, I'm just cancel. Okay, I will just delete this. Okay, after that if I export, sorry, download, see it's directly downloading only
Oh,
328 KB.
okay.
Okay, this is the difference.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so if you consider this project, the most important file in this project folder is web app. Okay, apart from that the other files is there, right? That we will see later, not now, we will see later. In that also the most commonly used files are ui5.yaml file. Okay, so ui5 YAML file is only the most important. After that package log, only these two files we will see, and the package.json. Rest readme it just for a optional and just for a documentation, which provide you more information. Okay, so we'll see these files more in detail going forward, not now. Okay, as of now just focus on web app. Okay, so when I expand web app, so there are how many folders? Controller, css, i18n, model, test, utils, and view. Okay, so these are how many? Six, seven folders are there. And apart from that, there are three files: component.js, index.html, and manifest.json file. So this all files, apart from test, all files are very important. Okay, for carrying, for doing your development. So in that also, which files or which folder mostly we will touch? Controller and view. Okay, 90% controller and view, 10% manifest.json file. Oh, sorry, 5% manifest.json file, 5% css, and 5% i18. Means if you consider the remaining 10%, in remaining 10% we can use all this css, i18, manifest.json file. Okay, but 90% only two folders are important: controller and view. Okay guys, you are getting it right? Any questions in this?
No,
Okay, okay, so now let's go one by one with the folder. Okay, so before we go to the folder, let's go to the files. Okay, so first file I'll go to is index.html. Okay, so when you go to the index.html, you will see the basic tags are there, the basic things, the basic code is written in HTML tags, right? Like the basic every web application will require nowadays, like char set, name, content, width. These are the basic configuration that you will always see in any HTML page. Okay, because now it is a HTML5. For HTML5, these are the basic configuration that you always need to provide. The browser related setting is there. Okay, after that, title of your HTML page, because when you run your app, for sure you will see some title here on this tab. So that will come with the help of this title. Okay, after that, the style means they have provided some predefined styling height to your tags like HTML tag, body tag, div tag, and container. Okay, don't focus on this, just ignore it as of now, not required this. Okay, after that there is a script tag. So this script tag is very important because when you run this app, as a standalone, okay, if you're running this app as a standalone app, so for that, what UI5 will do, what this bash tool will do, it will use or it will utilize this index.html file to run this app on the browser. But if you want to run this app on the Fury Launchpad, it won't use index.html. Okay, for running the app on Fury Launchpad, you don't need index.html. It will directly initiate or it will directly initialize your component container. So we'll see that what is a component. Okay, we'll see that now in few minutes. Okay, so for this index.html is only required if you want to run this app as a standalone in the web browser. Okay, so now in this, if you look at the script tag, you have the basic ID to your script tag as a bootstrap, and then we have a resource. So guys, this process is called as a bootstrapping process. Okay, so what this bootstrapping process will do, this bootstrapping process will initialize the component container on the runtime, and it will make sure that all basic libraries are loaded. Like what this bootstrapping process will do, bootstrapping process will do that most important library in this is sap.ui.core.js. This is the most important core.js file which is required for UI5 development. So that library it will load first. After that it will load the basic theme. So this is a Fury related theme. After that, where is the resource of your project? So that resource is under the project one, which is this. And then there are compact version, async, frame option, this you can ignore. And after that, once you load that, okay, once you load that, so the basic configuration, it will take it from the manifest.json file and then from the component name, because this is your component name and inside which you will have the manifest.json file. Okay, so this is what it happens, means when this web page is loaded, so first point of contact inside the web HTML page is body, because inside the body only everything will be displayed. And what is this body? Body is nothing but your component container. And how this component container will be initialized? It is initialized with the help of component.js. So every time you run your app on UI5, so first point of contact is your component.js. Okay, so I'll do one thing. I'll just right click on this project. So for running this app, what is your project name? Project name is project one. Yes.
Hello. These are auto-generated while we create project.
Yes, these are all auto-generated code while we create a project. Okay,
And one thing, in Vue you explain like we are going, all these are handled through XML. Then what is the use of this HTML file then?
What is the use of HTML file, right?
That index.html file.
Yeah, index.html means if you want to run this app standalone. Okay, on the browser, if I want to run this app, so browser will only understand HTML, right? HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and PHP. That's how the browser will work. So if you want to run this app, so what it will do, it will access this index.html in which you have already included your component container, and inside the component container only everything UI5 app will be loaded. Okay, at the end, your SAP UI5 is nothing but your component container, and that component container we are including it, we are adding it inside the index.html page. So when you run this app, so with the help of bootstrapping process, it will load the basic libraries. It will make sure that your component container is initialized at the time of runtime, and your app will run without any problems. So that's why we need index.html, because just to run this app locally on the browser. Okay, so at the start of that only I told that if you want to run this app as a standalone, so there is a difference between standalone app and Fury Launchpad app. In Fury Launchpad, it is a Fury Launchpad. It's one kind of container inside which you will have couple of tiles, and from the tile you will access the app. Okay, so inside the Fury Launchpad you don't need index.html. But if you want to run this app independently without Fury Launchpad, you need index.html.
Means
You
in
got it
real
now?
time scenario. Means in real time
Real time
scenario when
scenario
the
means, see, real
application
time, there is no real time scenario. You just need to, means for testing purpose, always you will run your app right now.
yes,
Every time you need this for running your app locally so that you can test it up rather than deploying it on the Fury Launchpad. Because deployment or deploying
test
the same app on the Fury Launchpad, it will take some couple of minutes. So it's better, right? Within a fraction of a second, you can test this app locally on your browser. Okay, is this fine now?
yes,
Okay, so why we need index.html? Just to test this app locally. As a standalone app, I can test this app on the browser rather than deploying on Fury Launchpad.
yes,
Okay, yeah, fine. Okay, so now the main part is component.js. Okay, so before I do, so let me run this app. For running this app, just right click on this project and click on preview application. Okay, just right click and click on choose the option preview application. Once you preview application, then it will give other options like you, let's say you want to run this app on the Fury Launchpad sandbox. Let's say you want to run this app as a standalone. Okay, so there is a standalone. See, it's already there. If there is no FLP, if there is no Fury Launchpad included, then open it with the help of index.html. Okay, so I want to run this as a standalone app without Fury Launchpad sandbox. So I will select this third option. So as soon as you select, okay, okay, I think looks like we deleted that folder, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think 1 second. Let me open in terminal. Okay, there is, we have one command here. 1 second. Okay, 1 second. We do one thing, just right click. Hmm. Okay, so now it will create again that node modules folder. Okay, because we deleted that folder, right? So you got it right. If you want to run this app as a standalone, we need this npm modules basically. Okay, why? If you're running this app through bash. Okay, so again that node module folder is created and it will install that. Okay, fine. Now if I try to run this as a preview application, it should run now. Okay, so the command is npm install, npm space install. See, now it's opening the app in new tab. Okay, okay, let's wait. It's loading, still loading.
So we have created that SPM part just if we want to upload it in that web ID.
Sorry.
Can you confirm? I mean to say that we were actually checking that if we download
Yeah.
that SPM,
Yes. Yes.
so we
Node
will.
modules folder we are generating with the help of npm install, npm space install. Okay, you can just note it down, npm space install. It will help you to again recreate that node module folder in your web app folder, in your project folder, so that if you want to run this app, so it will help you to provide some basic features from those node modules. Okay, so now as soon as I run, can you see guys, so we have selected SAP UI5 basic template, right? So that template, in which if you see, it's coming as a blank. So now from the scratch we need to create our app. So it's entirely blank as of now. Okay, so I'll just open the inspect, I'll go to the network and I'll reload now, and now you will see what are the different files it's loading. Okay, what should be the first point of contact and which file it is loading first. Okay, so yeah, big roll up. So first point of contact is your index.html. What is your first point of contact? Index.html. After that, it will load the associated libraries like sap.ua.code, these reuse libraries, uh, live reload, and again library preload. Okay, if you go here, I'll tell you. If you go to the index.html, what it does, so first it loaded index.html, and from that it loaded your core.js file, and again it loaded some this reuse libraries. Okay, and again after that it loaded manifest.json. Can you see now, after the preload it loaded manifest.json file, right? After the manifest.json, okay, after the manifest.json, so rest other files are getting loaded, like basic your i18 file, your css file, your view file, your controller file. Okay, so that other files will be loaded. Okay, after once your manifest is loaded, because inside the manifest only entire configuration is maintained. Okay, so let's go to the web app now. Now let's see what we have inside the component.js. So when you look at the component.js, okay, so this is what the structure of component.js, in which if you see, it is a definition section, sap.ua.define. So most probably in any controller, whenever you want to write a code inside the controller, so this is what the first place it will start. You have to define your section in which it will take a basic libraries which is required for your entire development. For example, if you look at below, it needs UI component. Okay, it needs a UI component. So that UI component we are loading it from sap.ua.core.library. So what is this UI component? UI component means is nothing but your component container. It is your main base container. Okay, it is a topmost container or topmost component container, or you can also call it as a parent of all other views and controllers. Everything will come under this UI component. So UI component is nothing but it is your main parent container. Okay, so 1 second guys. getting lot of calls. Just hold on. Okay. Okay. So now UI component means what it will do. Once you extend your UI component, in that it will load manifest.json file. Okay. So your manifest.json file will see after this component. So it is just one kind of a file which is of JSON format. Okay. After that, if you look at this, we have an init method. So inside the init method, as soon as you load your UI component, okay. So in index.html, if you see, we are initializing this div body, right? We have one bootstrapping process. In this bootstrapping process, it will initialize the parent component container. That is your UI component container. It will initialize, okay, on the runtime. And as soon as it got initialized, it will load all basic features from the manifest.json file. I know this is a confusing, but how you need to understand the flow, that the first point of contact if you're running this app as a standalone is index.html. Then inside the index.html, it will load the core library of SAPUI5, and after that it will load manifest.json file. Okay, and after that it will load this component in which it will initialize your UI component on the runtime. Okay, once that UI component is initialized, or it is initialized on the runtime. Once it is initialized, after that only your UI5 application will work. Okay, that is the basic process. Hello. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now after this manifest, okay, if you look at the okay, fine. Yeah. So after once your UI component is initialized, after that we have a routing. Okay. So we need one routing which also need to be initialized. So this line we will see more in detail in the case of routing and navigation concept. Just let it be. And after that, if you see, we have a device model. So this device model means why it is used. For example, let's say you want to define few controls based on the device type. Means I'm designing one web page in which I have specified I'm using a list control. I'm going to use the list project in case of mobile, but in case of desktop, I want to use a table rather than going with the list. So what I will do, I will use this device model. So we'll see that device model more in detail. Okay, don't worry. Yeah, fine. So once your component container is loaded, it will, first of all, it will load your manifest.json file. So what is your manifest.json file? So manifest.json file is one of the most important file in your entire app. Okay, what it does, manifest.json file is your descriptor file which provides all the configuration. Okay, all the entire basic setup configuration which is required for your UI5 app. Like, and it will also provide some read only information like what is the ID of the app, version of the app. Okay, and it will also provide you from which place the controllers should be loaded, from which place views to be loaded, what should be the data source, okay, what should be the models, uh, where should I, from which path should I need to load the CSS files, okay, which library should I need to load first, each and everything this manifest will do. So if you look at the manifest, at the top you will see the version. After that you will see the sap.app in which you will have the ID, type, and I18 and all basic things, title, description, everything. Okay, and then you will have a data source. Means if you are going to integrate any OData service, so that data source will always appear inside the data source property. Okay, then you will have some basic technology like on which you will be using like UI5. Okay, the icons, the device type, on which device type this app should run. Okay, what should be the mean UI5 version? So everything. And then what should be the basic libraries it should load initially at the time of project creation, means when you run this app on the browser. Okay, so each and everything you will get it inside the manifest.json file. So we will explore this file slowly. Okay, while model we will see this, while routing and configuration we will see this, while OData creation also we will see this. Okay, for each and every file, for each and every topic we will see this concept more in detail. Okay, so now let's consider what is the manifest.json file. A manifest.json file, it is a descriptor file in which the global configuration of your entire project is maintained. Okay, all your project related configuration, all your project related basic information is available inside the manifest.json file, and it is one of the most important file in your entire project. Okay, fine guys, any questions in this? Guys, any questions?
If you see more in detail about this SAP.and SAP.py,
Voice is breaking.
uh, now is it fine?
No, something it's not clear actually. Is it same for others also?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
now it's fine.
That's great. So I mean to say that are we going to see what is exactly the meaning of this SAP.m, SAP.ui.4?
Yes,
Uh,
yes,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
we will see this because without this you cannot use any control.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so let me close these files now and let's start with the designing of our registration page. Okay, we'll see that now quickly. Okay, so before we design, let me open a paint and we can design one a basic registration page and how it will look like, or otherwise maybe, or otherwise I'll do one thing. I'll go to the images and I'll search for the registration page. Okay, we'll design one page, beautiful page, and we will try to achieve. Which should I take?
We can take like username, password, basic, and
Basic one, or this one should I take?
okay, that is also
Okay,
good.
will it be fine? Okay, so let's create one web page in which we will have, okay, the only difference between what we will be having in case of our UI5 is that this label will not come inside, it will come on the top. Okay, so label would be independent and after that we will see this input field. Okay, so like this, how it is, like on the top username label is there and below that input field is there. So in that way we can see. Okay, so let's do one thing now. 1 second. Yeah, like this. Okay, so like this we will see. Okay, so let me go here. Okay, so let me open the view file. Okay, so for designing any UI5 application, so now you want to design a web page. So for designing purpose, the code that you will write it inside your registration page, means your view.xml page. Okay, so view.xml page, this is what the extension of your view file, and that will appear automatically at the time of project creation. So by default, if you are creating a project, a fresh project, a default view file will be created, and this is what the default view file what we have here. Okay, and for that view file, if you see, we have the controller file also. So there is one-to-one relationship between your view file and your controller file. Got it right, guys? So there is a one-to-one relationship between your view file and your controller file. So every view file has its own controller file. Okay, for example, I have declared a button control inside registration page.view.xml file. Now, once I press on the button, okay, so it should, for sure, it should perform some operation, right? Some business operation it should do as soon as I click on the button. So that thing need to be taken care inside the controller file of that view file, because registration page is the view file and its associated controller is registration page.controller.js file. So if I want to write any JavaScript logic, so that I will write it inside the controller.js file. Okay, automatically that events will be captured inside the controller file as soon as you click on the button. Fine. Okay, so let me open this registration page.view.xml file. Okay, once I click on this registration page dot, okay, so if you look at the structure of this view.xml file, it's starting with the view tag. Okay, it is starting with the view tag, which has a controller name property, XMLNS MVC, which is a namespace, and after the display block, and there is a XMLNS. Again, it's a namespace. And inside this view tag, what we have, they have declared one shell tag, after that app tag, and then pages, and then page. Okay, so let's go one by one. So what is a view tag? Okay, and why it is declared? Because everything, any view you declared, so that needs to be declared inside the view tag, because we want to follow the MVC architectural pattern, right? It should follow model view controller concept. So that's why there is one library which we have is sap.ui.core.mvc. So MVC is one kind of model view controller library which has view and which has controller. Okay, and which also has a model. Okay, so this all features are available because we want to follow the MVC architecture. So that's why this namespace XMLNS:MVC, and this library we are loading it first. Okay, and this MVC is nothing but it is just a reference name that you are providing, or that you are giving you, that we are giving it to this library. This is just a reference name. It's just a name which will identify this library, and that reference name only we have to prefix with the view tag. So this is our XML tag of view control. Okay, so before I explain this, let me declare one tag. Let's see what is a control, and after that we will see this. Okay, so if you look at the content, okay, so whatever code we will write, that should be written inside the page content. Okay, so for example, I want to design a button now. Basic button we will design. We'll see what is a button, and after that we will design a registration page. Okay, let me search for the button. So okay, so guys, as we are working with the latest version, right? So let me load the latest version. Okay, go to the samples and search for button. So okay, so this is what the button option we have, and this is just a samples where you can find out how you will see all the basic examples of any control. Okay, under the samples. Okay, so under this development toolkit, if you want to see any example that how the control will look like, if I want to use this, whether it will fulfill my requirement or not. So for that you can check this under the samples tab. Okay, so samples is a tab under which I can see this. So button, I just clicked on button on right hand side. So there are different examples which are available. So I'm just clicking on this first one. So once I load, so we have this various buttons that you can create it from the UI file. Okay, let's say you want to create a button default, you want to create a button reject, accept. Let's say you want a button without border, you want a button with border or only icon. So each and everything is available, means various types of buttons are provided here. So anyone you want to use, you can use it. Okay, So now what I will do, I will declare a button tag. So before I declare, I'll go to the API reference. Okay, so my button tag is this button control. If you look at this button control, it's coming from the library sap.m. So sap.m, it is a mobile library in which my button controller is included. Okay, then if I want to use, or if I want to declare this button control, first of all I need to make sure that my sap.m library is available inside the view tag. If this library is not available, will my button tag will work? No, it won't work. Okay, so if you go back to this web page, if you see sap.m, can you see this sap.m? It's already defined by default, because nowadays what SAP is recommending, mostly we should use mobile libraries controls, because our first approach should be that app should be responsive, right? First we should consider the mobile, and then we should consider other devices like tablet or desktop, because nowadays people are using more applications on mobile rather than on laptop or any desktop. So that is our first preference. Before you develop, your first preference should be mobile. Always you need to consider mobile as a first preference, and then after that desktop and other things. Okay, so that's why these whatever the controls which are coming under the sap.m, that are all responsive controls. That are all mobile controls which can be properly displayed on mobiles also. Okay, so sap.m means it is a mobile library. So now this button control, this button tag or button control, anything you can say. So this button control, it's coming under sap.m library. So sap.m library is already defined as a XML namespace. Okay, so whenever you see, so this is a standard keyword XML-NS in small case. So this should be as it is. Okay, now let's say if you want to add one more XML namespace or one more library you want to define, you will write same XML-NS colon, and then you will provide a name, custom name to your library. So what is the difference between this namespace and this namespace? The difference between both of this namespace is the namespace which doesn't have a alias name. So you can call it as an alias name. The namespace which doesn't have alias name, so that is a default namespace. Default means you don't need to provide any alias name. You don't need to prefix any alias name to your control, like what they have already done for the view. So if you consider view with the shell, so for the view we have MVC colon. But if you consider shell, there is no MVC, right? Because this shell control, it is available from sap.m library. Okay, because this shell control, the shell control assets are included inside sap.m library. Guys, you are getting it, right? Any questions?
So you mean to say that we don't have to like how in scp.m is a library, and if supposingly we are getting it from some MVC, so we have to mention MVC.shell like that? Or
Yes.
okay, okay.
No. Means it depends on you. Whatever option. Let's say if I want to provide a alias name, and instead of that, MVC, if I want to make this view, means this MVC as a default. Okay, let's say I want to make this library as a default. So what I will do, I will remove this MVC, and I will remove this MVC from the view tag here. Okay, and now if I'm making this sap.m colon m like this. Okay, so then I need to provide m everywhere. So m colon shell, m colon app. Okay, this is what the difference we need to do. But as most probably 90% the controls that we will use, it's from sap.m. So what SAP has done, so while creation of this project, they made this sap.m as a default library. So that going forward, you don't need to declare any alias name. You don't need to prefix any alias name in front of your control. You got it right?
Sorry, I think, okay, so this X in the third row, this colon MVC. So you mean to say that this XMLNS is a alias name of this SAP.UI.core. Is that what you mean?
Uh, Guys, can you give me only 2 minutes?
Okay, let's take your time.
Okay, let's take only 5 minutes break and we'll continue. Maybe today's session at least 15 minutes it can be extended, but that will be fine, right? Till 1:15. Okay, let's take a 5 minutes break only. Okay, we'll join. Guys, are you back?
Yes, Avik.
Yeah, okay. Okay, let's
Yes, sir.
wrap this quickly. Okay, so now what I have to do, I have to declare the button tag. So for button tag, the basic things are already there, right? So for button tag, we need this sap.m library. Okay, and this for view, it's already mentioned sap.ui.core.m basic. So at a time, only one name XML namespace you can make it as a default. Okay, you cannot make two namespace XML namespace as a default. At a time, only one. So let's say if I want to declare one more XML namespace, so I can't make that namespace as a default. Only one namespace can be made default into this view file. Okay, so that is very important. So before you use any controls, so first of all we need to load that library here on the top, and after that you can use the controls here. So the important thing is if it is a default, so for default controls you don't need to specify any alias name or any reference name, okay, for your controls. But if your XML namespace is not default like this, so for such cases you have to prefix your alias name in, okay, before the tags, control tags. Fine. Any questions now?
Yeah, no.
Shall I declare?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So for declaring any control, if you want to declare, so make sure that all the controls are case sensitive. Okay, so control names will always start in capital case. Property name always start with the smaller case. Okay, there is a difference between properties and the control. If you consider, so the page is one kind of control in which P is capital. And if you look at the properties of the page is ID and title, which are properties of the page, which are starting with a small case. Okay, this is one difference. And most probably whatever the properties we have, everywhere we are following camel case conventions. Okay, so the camel case naming convention is followed in entire this UI5 development. Means whatever the framework they have defined, right, the UI5. So in that, like method or any method, any events that you will be calling, each and every method and events, they will follow camel case naming conventions. Okay. Okay, so now let's declare a button tag. So how the button tag means B is capital, right? So I can directly copy this if you want, or otherwise you can just type opening tag B UTTON. So now see, as soon as I open, I am getting couple of suggestions here in this bus. So I can directly click on this. So automatically my buttons opening and closing tag will be added. Okay, so this one is your closing tag of button, which is, if you see at the start, we need to add a slash and then button tag. Okay, so now the properties, whenever you are going to add, you will not add it inside the closing tag. You will add it inside the opening tag. Okay, always remember that you will add your tag inside the opening tag. Okay, so this is very important thing. Okay, so there is, apart from this, there is also self closing tag like this, butt/n. Okay, this is also one more way to declare a tag, because let's say now let's say I don't need this, right? I don't need this. Why this is helpful, right? Just I'm declaring, my code is also reduced now somewhat. When you will have this opening and closing tag in case of like this, if you consider the page, so we have inside the page we have a aggregation. So whenever you are going to add a aggregation, so aggregation will explain in some time. So whenever you are going to add an aggregation, so in case of aggregation, you can prefer this syntax, opening and closing tag of button. But if you're not going to add any aggregation, only you're going to add a property, so you can use a self closing tag. Fine, guys, any questions?
No, Avik.
Okay, okay, so now this is my button. So what I will do, okay, so as soon as I added the button, right? Okay, as soon as I added the button, if you see, nothing is coming here, right? For the button, only I can see a square, a rectangle square, or the square has been created. But once I press, I can see some color is popping up, right? Once I press on this button, but I don't see any user friendly, some things which can tell the user that this is a button, and this is what the place that you can press, right? So for that we need to add a properties. So if you're adding a properties, what it will do, it will just enhance your controls, right? It will just enhance your controls. Means for example, for the button, I need to add a text. Okay, if I go to this button, just scroll down, you will see a couple of tabs here like overview, constructor, properties, aggregation, association, events, and methods. So if you want to add a buttons properties, you can click on this properties tab, and there we have a couple of properties which you can declare it inside the opening tag of button. So like, let's say I want to add a text, right? So for adding the text, there is one property text, okay, in which the data type it is expecting is string format. Default value for this property is empty string. So that's why we are not able to see any text. By default, it is an empty string. Okay, and the description for is determines the text of the button. Okay, so now I'm going to add a text property to the button. Text equal to, so let's say I'm adding, okay, so as soon as I add a click here, so see, as we are running a localhost server here, so automatically the page will be loaded. You don't have to reload manually. Automatically the page will be reloaded. But make sure that this won't be closed. Below, if you see, it's already running here. Okay, this thing is already running, the localhost server. If you are closing this, then your application will not reload. Okay, so if just double click on this tab, so automatically it will make you the page in bigger format. Okay, fine. So now I have added the text. After that, let's say I want to add an icon. Okay, so I'm adding icon. So for icon, so okay, now what type of icons you can add it to the button? So for adding the icons, SAP recommends to use SAP UI5 icons. So there is one icons explorer for SAP. You can just search for SAP UI5 icons. So there is an icon explorer, same like development toolkit is there, right? For the UI5, same like that, we have one more reference library for our icons, in which you will find out each and every icons. So there is one icon explorer. If you scroll down, we have a one tab in which the icons for UI5 control it's mentioned. Okay, don't use other icons, that won't be helpful. Only the SAP related icons, only the UI5 related icons you can use it here in SAP icons. Just click on it. Okay, so these are the different icons which are available, which you can directly use in your controls. For example, I want to use press here, right? Search for press. Okay, so we have one this touch icon, so you can directly copy this. So on the right hand side, if you see, you can directly copy this. This is what the URL we only need, the text. Automatically that icon will be added. You don't have to do anything. So by default, that icon will be loaded in the browser. Okay, on top of the on side of that, there is a copy icon. So you can click on it, icon will be copied, go back and just paste. Okay, so now if you see the layout or the output, for sure you will see the, can you see your button, right? We are able to see the button with the icon added at the start. Okay, and followed by the button text. Okay, so this is how the properties will be helpful. So whenever you want to enhance your controls, right, whenever you want to change their user appearance, so you can take the help of properties. So properties will help you to add more features. It will help you to customize your controls depending on your requirement. Okay, so let's say now if you see by default the button type is of, okay, let me go here. So there is one type property. So by default there is by default button is of default type. So let's say I want to make it as a emphasize. So we have a emphasize property. Okay, so let's go back here. So it's coming under the type, right? So it's coming under the type property. Go here and just type. Okay, it's by default. So now let's say I want to get option, just control space. Can you see now? So there are different options like accept, back, default, and emphasize. Just click on this emphasize. Okay, so automatically your page will be loaded on the right hand side. So now you will see a different look and feel for your button. Can you see now? See, now your button is of type emphasize. Okay. So now guys, there are a couple of properties for which a link will be provided in the front of that property. Link means you cannot directly copy this and you can paste. No, that won't work. So if you see a link, just click on it, and after that, whatever the options are there after that link, like accept, attention, this you can copy and you can paste it in the XML. But in case of controller, okay, there are two ways to declare the controller in UI5. I can same declare this button tag inside the JavaScript code, that is inside the controller. But only the syntax would be different. But in that case, I have to copy this entire line and I have to provide it to the type. But in XML, I just need to provide attention. That's it. Okay. So guys, are you getting what are the controls? Any questions?
Yes.
Suppose we have two buttons here. How will system differentiate between those two buttons? Like this button is clicked and this button is clicked.
No. I am not getting your question. Can you just?
Like suppose we have one accept button and one reject button.
Okay.
Suppose we have clicked on accept button, how system will get to know that now accept button is clicked? And suppose we clicked on reject button, how controller will get to know that now reject is clicked?
Okay.
Then only it will perform some script action.
Okay. So see, this is the button control based on the type. See, based on the type, for sure, only the appearance of the button will change. Okay, but at the end, so for sure for button there is an event which will be triggered as soon as you press on this button. Okay, so that press function will identify. Okay, in the press function, as soon as you click on the press function, so we will have some events. So this question I can answer it more in detail at the time of controller section. Should I skip this as of now? Will that work? Because
No.
after this XML, we will have the controller section. In that controller, we will see this more in detail.
Sure.
Okay. Otherwise,
Sure.
unnecessarily, we will waste our time now here for this explanation.
Avik, how we can define the location for that button if I want it to be at center? So what I need to do to make it a
Yeah,
center?
for that only, first we will design our simple form. Okay. And after that, let's say if you want to make it as a center, right? So there are a couple of controls like flexbox control is there, block layout is there, layout is there. Couple of controls are there, which will help you to just change the position of the control. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So at least so far the control idea is clear. What are the control? How to declare the properties? Okay. So whenever you're declaring a properties in the XML, right, for that particular control, so you have to provide equal to sign. Okay, after the property provide equal to sign, and inside the double quotes only you have to provide the value. Whether it's an integer or number, every time you have to provide that values inside the double quotes. Okay, let's say I'm having one property which is of type integer. So in case of XML, you have to provide that value in double quotes or single quotes. But in case of controller, when you declare the same control inside the controller, in that case, you have to provide it in integer or in the number format. Okay, so that we will see in detail that. Okay, but make sure that in XML, any value you will define that should be in string format. Fine.
Okay.
Okay, so now button control is declared. So now let's design our registration page. So for designing our registration page, if you see on the top, we have a create account. Okay, so let's go to the API reference or the samples. I'll search it for simple form. Okay, so there is a simple form. So simple form, it's one of the standard control that you can use whenever you want to design a page, whenever you want to design a form, any kind of form. If you want to design and you want that form to be responsive across all the devices, go with simple form, not with any other controls. So there are two types of form which form controls we have. One is simple form and one more is their form. Okay, if I search for form, so one we have form and another one is we have simple form. The difference between two of them is that if you want to design a complex layout, okay, if you want to design a complex forms, you can go with the form. Okay, but if you want to design a form which has a simple layout, so you can go with the simple form. Okay, if the layout is very simple, there is no more complex, you can easily achieve, so you can go with the simple form. But if the design itself is little bit complex and you want that everything to be responsive and everything to be aligned properly, so you can go with the form. But 90% this simple form will help you to achieve your requirement. Okay, but 10% if it is not available, you can achieve it through the form control. Okay, it's okay now. Okay, so now if I'm clicking on the simple form, on right hand side you will see the various options. Like let's say you want 3 forms to be displayed in a simple row, in a single row, or 2 columns, anything. Okay, for example, I'm taking one example of 1 group or full screen 2 groups. Okay, so if you look at the screen, this is how your simple form will look. Everything will be aligned neatly and properly. Okay, automatically these colons are also added. You don't need to add this colon explicitly. By default, this simple form will add this colon in front of the label. Okay, but the difference is if you are going to use the simple form, right? I will go to the API reference of simple form. So the difference between simple form is, so if you are going to use title, okay, inside the content, whenever you will add a title inside the simple form, it will make sure that it will consider means whatever the content is falling with after the title control, so that content will be considered as a separate form. If you are adding one more title inside the same form, so after that, after the title, whatever the content is falling, again that content will be considered as a second form. Okay, I'll show you how this is taken care. But make sure that if you want that every time your new control should come should appear in the new line, you have to consider label control. Okay, because in simple form, if you're going to use a label control, so label control will act as a new line. But apart from the label control, if you're using text, so that won't be considered as a new line. Okay, so let's try and let's design, and after that we can discuss this more. Okay, so now let's consider simple form. If I want to use this simple form, so I need to include this library sap.ui.layer.form, right? So let me copy this form, go back, let's add xml ns colon form equal to, in double quotes, I'm providing this form. Okay, after that I'm just commenting this as of now. So how you can comment, you can just select and you can control slash, you can, after selecting you can use control slash, so that line will be commented. Okay, then I'm writing simple form. So for simple form, if you see, I have to prefix form alias name, right? Form colon. Now if I write simple form, see automatically it's coming simple form now. Okay, so now inside this simple form, so now inside the simple form, now I want to add a controls, because A single simple form will contain lot of controls like input field, radio buttons, like checkbox, all these things we need it, right? Where we can add, we cannot add it as a property here in the opening tag, right? It should be added inside the aggregation always. You cannot add it in the opening tag. You can only add a properties in opening tag, properties or events. Okay, but you cannot add a control directly inside the opening tag of simple form. It should be only added inside the aggregation. So how you can identify what type of aggregation we have for the simple form? Let's go to the simple form and so just click on this aggregation. So if you go to the aggregation, so default aggregation which is supported for the simple form is contain. So whenever you see any default aggregation as a contain, you don't have to specify contain aggregation. So likewise, how they have done it for the page. For the page, if you see the content is the aggregation, so they have added it content like this. So inside the content only we are going to add a simple form, right? So same like that, inside the simple form you can add a content, and inside the content you can declare other controls. But as the content is the default aggregation, so it's optional whether you want to define it or not. It is a optional. Okay, so now what is the aggregation? So any control, if it is following aggregation, so aggregation means a relationship between child and the parent. Okay, it is a relationship between your parent and child, so in which your parent is your simple form and your children's would be label and controls, labels and input fields. Okay, whatever other controls you will declare inside the aggregation, so that will act as a child controls for your simple form. Okay, so now if I'm going to destroy simple form, your child controls are also going to be destroyed. Okay, so why this aggregation we use? Because this aggregation will help us to provide a relationship between this simple form and other controls, and it will also help that a simple form will act as a container for other controls, so that you can include the other controls inside the simple form. And this aggregation will also help you to create or to generate child controls dynamically on runtime, depending on the model data. Means dynamically means, let's say in the table from the backend you are getting 100 records. So are you guys creating 100 records manually? Are you guys going to write 100 lines manually? No, right? We will write only single line of code, and that single line of code, it should replicate automatically. That concept is called aggregation. Okay, so it will create the child elements on runtime dynamically based on the model data. Okay, but in simple form we are not going to do any generate. Okay, by default we will add, and so that so simple form will it will act as a container for other controls. Fine, any questions? So
No,
can you see?
actually, what means, what is difference between the aggregation and association?
Aggregations and
Association.
okay, association, don't focus on association as of now. We'll see that later, but for sure it won't be used that much. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
it's not required. Only constructor, properties, aggregation, events and methods, that are 99% use. 1% means 1%, not 1%, only 0.1% you will need association. Okay, so this aggregation, if you look at it, so now we have a default aggregation for the simple form is contained, which has a coordinate. Means you can define 0 controls or 0 to n controls. You can define as many as controls if you want to define inside the simple form. And then what is of type? Whatever the controls you will define, it should be of type sap.ui.core.element. Okay, so every control in this.
Control,
Mhm.
control you mean input fields, right?
Control, I mean input fields, radio buttons, label,
Okay, got it, got
text,
it. Got it.
chart, Everything are controls in SAP UI5. Okay, but all are inheriting from the base class is sap.ui.core.element. It is a base class for all other controls. For example, how you can identify it? Now let's consider this simple form. If you look at the simple form, it's inheriting from few of the features from sap.ui.core.control. Okay, means simple form it is inheriting some of the features from sap.ui.core.control. There is one inheritance concept followed in UI5. Okay, so for example, let's say I cannot see any features in the simple form, so I can go to this extend. So now let's say I have few properties here. So these properties I can use it on the simple form, because simple form at the end it is extending from sap.ui.core.control. Got it right? Any questions?
Yes.
I cannot see your screen. Yeah, now I can.
Sorry.
Now I can see screen. Now I can see.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now let's define now label. Okay. So let's start with the content aggregation. So in the simple form, if I want to declare other control, I need to add a content here first of all. So now you cannot add content directly because content is of simple form, right? So you have to prefix form alias name. Okay. So after that, inside this, I will add label control. So label control means it will consider the label control as a new line. Okay, so for label, we have the text as a property. So I'm writing like first name. Okay. After that, I'm declaring one input field. By default, I'm keeping value property as a blank. Okay, just I'm saving. So let's see the output, what we have on the new screen. Okay, can you see the output now? Automatically a label is added, and you can also see the colon is also added, right? A colon is also added. We didn't add any code for this colon, right? But automatically it is being taken care by the simple form API. And now on the right hand side, if you see, we have an input field. But let's say now if I'm not going to add a label again, so what will happen? Let's say I'm directly adding text control. Okay, so now if you see that, you will see the output now. Okay, can you see now? It will consider, apart from the label, if you are going to add other controls, that controls won't be considered as a new line. But if you are going to use label control, then only that control will act as a that that will take that value as a new line. But if you are going to add a text or input field or anything, it would be considered as a same line. So that content will appear on the right hand side. But if I'm going to add a label, okay, I'm just changing the text to label. Okay, this also I need to change. Okay, now you see what would be the output. Okay, so nothing is coming. Why? Because as is default behavior of simple form is, if you are not going to add any control in front of the label, so your label, first of all, your label will not be displayed. Okay, so that label will also be hidden. It will be hidden in the screen. Why? Because there is nothing to display, right? If the no value, if the value itself is not there, why that label will appear? Okay, if I'm going to add a control in front of that label, I'm just copying this. Now you will see the label. Can you see now? Okay, this is the default behavior of simple form API or simple form control. If you are not going to add any control in front of the label control, then your label itself will be hidden. It won't display at all. Okay, so far it's clear, guys. Any questions?
Yes, Avik, it's clear.
It's clear, right? Okay. So now next thing what you see in this,
Hello,
I
by default, the alignment for levels is center.
No, by default alignment is not centered, because see, now we are going to use this simple form for editing purpose. Means user will use the simple form for entering the data. So we have to add explicitly one property to the simple form as editable. Editable true. Once you add this property editable true, so what it will do, it will align your label according to the input field. Can you see now? Okay. If I'm, oh my God, I closed it.
Away.
Hmm?
A request. Can we continue remaining part tomorrow? I got some meetings actually. Is it possible?
Okay, okay. What about others, guys? Should we continue tomorrow?
Yes, yes, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think today it's more, right? Okay, lot to
Yeah.
lot to consider today. Okay, guys. So tomorrow. So before you come tomorrow, your assignment would be just go through each and every control. Means before you go to the controls, your assignment would be create your trial accounts on SAP BTP. After that, create a basic project by using SAP UI5 freestyle template. Okay, your assignment I'm telling you, because before that you don't come. Okay, that's very important, because from tomorrow onwards I will provide you some time so that you can practice in the session itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so create your trial account first. Second, create a project, UI5 freestyle project. And third thing, just open the API reference, go to the samples and explore each and every control. Okay, just open and see what actions it does, how it appears. Okay, so check this each and every control. So that would be your assignment for today. Okay, so tomorrow also, for hope tomorrow it's in the evening, right? 8 o'clock. So for sure you will get a lot of time. So you will at least have more than one day. So at least utilize this day properly. Okay, is it clear?
Okay, Abhi.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Okay then. Thank you guys. Okay, so this
Thank
recording I
you.
will just upload in some time, so that will be available in your on the drive. Same folder, whatever the folder I have shared, right? In that same folder, you will get access. This video will be available. Okay, bye bye guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.